Mountjoy Township is quite old. It was formed in 1749 as part of York County, and it is one of the original townships of Adams County when Adams County was formed in 1800. Mountjoy Township lies on what was called at one time the Shippensburg Pike, now State Route 97, and it is the main road from Shippensburg to Baltimore. And so Adams County Mountjoy Township has always been involved in transportation and in commerce on that road. It was for many, many years a toll road. As a matter of fact, it was a toll road until 1914. And several of the toll houses are standing. The prettiest of them is the Hoke Toll House right at the edge of Rock Creek, a stone building that's quite attractive.
My name is Ellie Bennett, and I'm with the Mud College Schoolhouse Committee in Mountjoy Township. The present schoolhouse was actually built in 1869. It's a small brick building, and it's located between, on the Baltimore Pike, it's located between Littlestown and Gettysburg. And the schoolhouse served the children from this area, primer through 8th grade, from the time it opened until 1949. When it closed and the children who had attended there went on into Littlestown for high school or to Gettysburg. And after it closed in 1949, the Littlestown School District put it up for sale, and it was purchased by the Maynard Krause family. Now, most of those children had attended the schoolhouse, so they had very warm feelings for the schoolhouse and wanted to see it maintained. And the unusual thing that happened with this building was that when the Krauses bought it, they did not convert it into an antique shop or a home or something else. They were very dedicated to keeping it just as it was when their family had attended and all the children in the community had. So for years, they maintained the building, kept the desks, fixtures around the schoolhouse, and they would have reunions once a year, and the alumni came. Well, as years went by, the older members of that family passed on, and the younger members were unable to maintain it. So they did donate it to Mountjoy Township with the stipulation that it be maintained as a one-room schoolhouse, and it should be used for the public to come in and get an idea of what school days look like in the 19th century and first part of the 20th century. So it was given to the township with this in mind, and a few of us got together and we encouraged the township to let us use it not only as a reunion or a tourist attraction, but rather to have a living history program. So we have some volunteer docent teachers, and we invite various 4th grade classes from around the county to come to the schoolhouse to spend the day. The children come and they spend the whole day there. They're dressed as they would have dressed in the 19th century attending school. The teacher is dressed appropriately in 19th century school marm clothing. They read from books that were original to that school and have lessons as the children would have. And one of the main things that interests the children is it's not just one grade in the classroom. Children from the primer through the 8th grade attended all in one room, taught by one teacher. So it's a very unique experience, and we've had very wonderful comments about the day the children spend there. And we're very proud of this program and the way that this particular schoolhouse has been preserved through the years. We're very proud of it.
Well, we like to say that Mountjoy is the gateway to the Battle of Gettysburg. Many of the Union troops on their way to Gettysburg came through Mountjoy. General Slocum, for example, of the 12th Corps, spent the night at one of the taverns, in 2 taverns, and received his orders to move on to the battle on the 1st of July, 1863. Troops were bivouacked around 2 taverns. During the battle, many civilians abandoned the town of Gettysburg and came out to Two Taverns to hide and to stay away from the fight. As the battle was going on, there was a great need for field hospitals, and a great many of the Union field hospitals were built in Mountjoy Township along the edge of Rock Creek, where there was high ground and good water. And there are still 13 hospital structures listed on the National Register. There was a strong anti-slavery movement in the township and the county. Adam Wirt was one of the leaders of it, and he lived on what is now White Church Road at the edge of Lake Heritage. And we have good report that the spring house that stands on that property it does in fact have a false floor in which slaves were hidden as part of their movement on the Underground Railroad.
The Board of Supervisors of Mountjoy Township made a decision in 2003 to go down a path less traveled. The boundaries of the path were not yet defined, and only a municipality with a sound plan and a long-term visionary leadership could successfully navigate it. Now, Mountjoy Township possessed the governing body with a long-term vision for the future of our community. The Board of Supervisors of Mountjoy Township took a giant step towards addressing the problem of urban sprawl by authorizing the formation of the Mountjoy Township Agricultural Land Preservation Program. The purpose of this board is to purchase perpetual conservation easements on farmland. Now, these easements are guaranteed that agricultural land can never be developed, subdivided, or anything else. Agriculture is the #1 industry in Pennsylvania. Now, farm preservation is a compensation plan for landowners to preserve their property from development forever. Now, it's a fair and a just means of taking privately owned property and preserving it for agricultural purposes. The program is completely voluntary for the landowners. Now, agricultural land preservation provides an alternative to landowners to preserve and keep ownership of their land by compensating them the difference between the agricultural land value and the land value of development. The Agricultural Land Preservation Program closely follows the program of the state and Adams County. Now, farms are ranked by size, development, potential, and proximity to other preserved lands, along with other accepted rankings. The program has been very successful so far. There's many more to be preserved. The program is using all available sources to preserve as much Mountjoy Township property as possible. And we want to thank all of the residents of Mountjoy Township for their continued support in this worthwhile program that helps maintain the rural character of our township.
The Adams County Preservation Program started in 1989. And it was the goal of the county commissioners to piggyback off of the state preservation program and start preserving land in Adams County. At that time, the commissioners felt very strongly that development pressure was heading towards us, and we needed to create a program to help preserve farmland. Adams County Ag Preservation Program has purchased the conservation easements on just under 18,000 acres in Adams County. The 2007 Ag Census showed that Adams County contained just under 179,000 acres of farmland in the county, with the average size around 142 acres. So you can clearly see that we've preserved pretty much, a drop in the bucket compared to what's available out there. The goals of the preservation program are to protect the rural character of Adams County through conservation easements, which are permanent restrictions on the property to allow for it to remain in farmland and not to be developed. We look at farms that have high quality soils, that are close to other preserved farms, that have a development pressure attached to them, and we also look at their tillable land and how much land is preserved around them and how much land they can farm. Through the county program, we have 16 criteria that we look at when we preserve a farm. We don't necessarily look at its historic value. We do look historically how long the farm has been in the same family name. So if you're a century farm or you have century farm status, we would give points towards that. We give points towards farms that have multi-generation ownership. The Adams County Ag Preservation Program accepts applications on a 2-year cycle. In 2009, we accepted applications. In fact, we accepted 84 farms covering 7,400 acres. With the money available that we have at the county and state level, we might be able to purchase the top 15 or 20% of those farms. So you can clearly see that, you know, there's a lot of land out there that would like to be preserved, and we just don't have the money and efforts to preserve all of the land. The county program is a very competitive program. As you can see, we have 84 applicants that cover the entire county. We can't just pinpoint out one specific municipality or township to preserve all of the land in that township. So it's very important that municipalities, if they feel very strongly about preservation, start their own preservation program. I think it's very important that a rural and farming community like Mountjoy Township, who have invested money in other areas, also invest money in their agricultural economy. And one way of them to do that and show that support is by purchasing conservation easements and having a preservation program where a farmer who may not rank as high in our county program can go to the township and say, I'd like to have my farm preserved. Will you preserve my farm? And that really makes a big difference when you look at the overall picture, because the county program looks at Adams County. We can't pinpoint, like I was saying earlier, and having a township preserve farmland makes it so much easier for us.
Well, the committee was formed in an effort to identify first and publicize and hopefully help preserve as much of the historical heritage of Mountjoy Township as we possibly can. So we're working hard toward that end.
Many of our farms were settled by German immigrants prior to the famous Battle of Gettysburg and are in danger of being lost to ensuing development. We are struggling to preserve as much as quickly as we are able before they are lost forever. Our farms support a portfolio of diversified crops such as, but not limited to, corn, wheat, soybean, hay production for livestock, beef and dairy operations. We also have wonderful nursery operations that support flower, tree, and shrubbery sales, even herb sales. There are small vineyards located in Mountjoy Township, along with berry farms, apple, pear, and peach orchards. We recently hosted an informal and educational event held on one of our farms to help gain additional awareness and support for our programs. Over 100 people attended the festival, including school students who devoted their time and energy to help out with the filming and arrangements. Many small businesses within the township also turned out to show their support and showcase their goods and services to the public.
Fellow citizens, men in the blue uniforms from all over these northeastern states fought right here in Gettysburg in Adams County in 1863 to help us preserve this great union. Now we fight for something else, to preserve the historic lands and buildings in Mountjoy Township in Adams County. We're counting on you as we have counted before, and I know you'll see it through to success.
Lend a
Thank you.
hand, save the land. Lend a hand, save the land.
This is Susan Savia, musician extraordinaire, who agreed to do all the music for our video today. Susan?
Thank you, Carol. I was thrilled to find out about the event to raise awareness for agricultural preservation. It's something that I'm very passionate about. And I was even more thrilled to find out that they needed music for the event. So I was inspired to learn some special tunes related to nature and land and farmland preservation. And I was even further inspired to create a song for the event called Last Full Measure of Devotion. The Last Full Measure of Devotion is a line from the Gettysburg Address that obviously Abraham Lincoln gave. That was an appeal to the nation to stay together and an appeal to not have allowed the men to have died in vain. I find now that the last full measure of devotion is saving our heritage, preserving the history that is so rich in Mount Joy Township, Adams County, York County. This whole area of Pennsylvania is so beautiful. And I have had a passion for farmland preservation for some time.
Save the land. These fields are only yours and mine to borrow. Lend a hand, save the land. These fields must be preserved beyond tomorrow. Hold on, or we will lose our farms forever. Hold on, or we will lose our farms forever. Around the hills near Gettysburg, the roar of cannons could be heard. We nursed the wounded and we prayed, and then we buried the rest. Our next of kin heard the dedication when Mr. Lincoln spoke to heal the nation. These dead shall not have died in vain, was his request. The last full measure of devotion will put us to the test. Hold on, or we will lose our land forever. Hold on, or we will lose our land forever. Adams County, this fruitful earth, what is a farmer's harvest worth? Better think twice, no farms, no food for me and you. The land is history and our treasure. Our actions must be the last full measure. 7 generations depend upon what we choose to do. Don't pay paradise for a box that's shiny and new. Here we go again. Lend a hand, save the land. Lend a hand, save the land. Lend a hand, save the land. These fields are only yours and ours.